What's going on, everybody? Judd Burden here from Asphalt Kingdom. Welcome. Special night tonight. I'm here with 3 stars. They are part of the Two Comma Club. They've built million-dollar businesses. They are not just, incredible humans, great business owners, and paying it forward every single day, but they're also great friends of mine. And I've been able to spend some great quality time with them and being a part of their journey. And I'm just so excited to be on here with you guys right now. And we're going to bring each one of them on independently and have a quick convo, a little bit about them. And then we're going to roll into a freestyle where we're all going to be together jamming, speaking about this journey, this adventure. And, one of the things that I think is so important is that any question that you might have, just know that you can pop that in the comments box anytime, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, whatever platform you're on. Go ahead and use that comment box to ask any questions you have. Feel free to share this out as well. And definitely feel free to follow us on all social media platforms. We're always here trying to make sure we're paying it forward and helping the industry as best as we possibly can. All right, well, we've got a surprise for you. Let's go ahead and bring on Mr. Jake Abernathy, Doctor Asphalt. What is going on, my man?
How we doing there, Judd?
Living the dream, keeping the wheels on.
Hanging out down there in Anguilla?
Hanging out in Anguilla, and you're over in Wisconsin?
Minnesota right now.
Minnesota, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You've got a few things going on, don't you?
Couple things. It snowed here last night, so don't like that. But
right on, man. Well, welcome. I'm so glad that you that you're here with us, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're building your empire over there, so it's cool to have you take a little time. And I know people look up to you, and definitely I've been able to. I remember when I first met you in person at the Gold Digger Retreat down here, and I was like, man. And Brian had already told me, like, this guy's going to do some incredible shit, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you, man? Like, kind of, when you start, how many years ago you started, years you've been in business, kind of, are you stopping anytime soon? Give a little bit of background.
Sure. Yeah. So we started in 2016 as sophomores in college at UW-Madison. Kind of the first 2 years, we didn't take it very seriously. It was just kind of a summer gig to make some money to pay for tuition. And then when we graduated in 2018, we really kind of started taking it seriously because we saw the opportunity there. So since 2016, we've been growing over 100x every year, including last year, hoping to do that again. It's getting harder now as we get bigger, but that's the goal. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We just bought a little paver at the expo, so we're going to start dabbling in paving ourselves now.
Cool.
I really have visions to grow it huge, so we're really just getting started.
So you started out by doing asphalt maintenance, just general asphalt maintenance, crack repair, seal coating?
In our company, yeah. So we started out just doing driveways, crack filling, seal coating, a couple $100 jobs. Now our average job is around $10,000. So it's pretty cool to see. Never thought we'd be there, but here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Now, how old are you, Jake?
26.
26. You're still 4 sub 30. I love it, man. You have so much room
to
crush 30. I couldn't be more excited to be here. By the way, everybody watching and anybody who sees this replay, please follow Jake, Doctor Asphalt. He's got some great content that he's pushing out, and it's not just about the jobs that he does, but it's the stories sometimes. Like, there's some stuff that you've posted where I saw you, but I think you're at the window of your truck with your arm out the window, and you're on this mission. And that post, I'll let everybody go and find that post, but that post is a pretty inspiring one, man. And it goes to show how committed you are to growing your business. So congratulations on what you've stayed dedicated and determined with, and what you're continuing to build.
Appreciate it.
Cool, man. All right. Well, listen, we're going to get, you actually know these guys quite well. Alex and Chris. So.
Oh yeah. Those are the boys.
Oh yeah. The boys. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and pop Alex on, and then we're going to all just hop on a jam together. Is that cool?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, let's do it. Look at this. Oh man, Mr. Alex Lucic, Black and Yellow, one of the coolest, most amazing human beings I've ever had the fortune of actually being able to meet, the privilege of meeting. We've had some pretty cool times, and man, I'm just, I sit here and watch you right now with this ear to ear smile and your Black and Yellow brand that just continues to grow and solidify, and just couldn't be more proud of you, man. Welcome. Thank you for being here, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro. Feelings mutual, for sure.
So I know that you've got an interesting story when you first started, because I was one of the reasons why you almost quit. But I think I'm almost I think I'm one of the reasons why we're in the asphalt business, probably. But like I want to hear back to that story, like maybe not the depth of the story, but just like how long ago did you start? Did you have any sales experience? Did you were you a pavement professional when you started?
No, actually, my story is very similar to Jake's. Actually, I didn't know, but I started in 2010. For about 2 years, we kind of didn't take it too seriously. Did it in the summers, whatever, and then in 2012, or actually 2011, 2012 is when I actually decided to actually take it seriously. I saw your ad online, seal coating that driveway. I bought that 8K unit, and here we are about 10 years later, crushing it. Feel like we're just getting started still. So yeah.
Now you made a decision at one point to not do residential, and just focus on commercial. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. And is that where you saw a tremendous hockey stick curve in your growth?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once we decided to focus our attention on commercial, the company just exploded. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and your brand, I mean, your brand, and I say this often, your brand's one of the most prominent asphalt maintenance brands. Like when I see Black and Yellow and I see American Pavement, and I'm like, this is the power of branding. And you and I did that video where we jammed about branding, and it's impacted so many lives, man. People have reached out and just said, that has helped me become a better business owner, convert more deals, and really continue to build and scale my business. So the pay it forward mindset that you have too, man. Like I know people reach out to you privately, because I know some of those people that come back to me to tell me about that. But dude, man, you're a lighthouse. You're a shining light, and thank you for being here and doing this right now.
No problem, man. Appreciate it.
Cool. I'm going to bring on Chris Filippelli from Surface Solutions, and we're going to go ahead and jam all of us on a screen. We're going to have some fun. Chris,
how's it going, man?
Awesome, brother. Awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain.
Thank you for being here, bro.
Not a problem.
I remember like 3 years ago sitting on a phone call with you, and I was sitting out by my pool at a table, and I was having this chat, and you and I were just chatting on the phone, and I'm like, man, this guy's got something special. You got something special. Like, I'm like, I think you were like, you would have been like just turning 20.
Yeah, I would have just turned 23 years ago.
And I'm like, he articulates so well. He's got something really special. He's like a real mature 20-year-old good old soul. And like, and you wanted something more than what I think a lot of our systems are training people to kind of want. And I know you and you and I have gone back and forth a little bit on that recently about the younger generations. And so we'll be putting some more out on that for sure. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your story, kind of the elevator pitch of what you've gone through from the time you were introduced to the pavement industry to kind of where you are now.
Yeah, so for sure. So going back, I guess, back to middle school, in the summers, I actually got approached by a guy in the neighborhood across the street about helping him he did epoxy floors in garage and also did residential seal coating. And so he approached me about helping him in the summer. So I got a job with him, started helping him. I would ride my bike across the street every day to his neighborhood and go to work with him. And we did a lot of garage floors and driveway seal coating. And I just kind of carried buckets back and forth from the street, fed them out of a tote into 5-gallon buckets and carried them up the driveway. The same old way everybody starts out, So I did that for a couple years, and then he decided, I think it was my 9th grade year, he decided he was going to get out of the business and he was going to go back into corporate America doing sales work. And so at that point, I went back and I had talked to my dad and I said, I think this is something that we can do. And now, mind you, at this time, this was not, hey, this is a long-term plan. This is what I want to do forever. I still had this mindset, I'm going to go to college and this is what I'm going to do. So it wasn't a long-term solution in any way of the stretch. But so go home, we come up with a plan that we're going to do that. My mom and dad said they would support us. The only thing was I had to give my brother the opportunity. So me and my brother started the company. He joined in, and we went for a couple short years before he had to go to college, and then he decided to drop out. So that's when I continued to pursue the company, continued to seal. And then fast forward to graduating from high school, had to decide what I was going to do, went to community college a little bit, but just didn't really work out for me. And so I flew down and saw Kevin Gray from ADC Paving down in Louisville, Kentucky. And I spent about a week down there and learned a lot of good stuff. Kevin really showed me some different ways of doing different things and tried to get me a little more comfortable with paving in general. And he was taking me back to the airport. And he said, so when are you going to start? And I said, I don't know, maybe next year, maybe the following. And he said, well, it doesn't really matter when you start. It's not going to be, it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be cheap. And so it kind of just sparked from there. Went back in December, started getting some things ready. January, February, bought $500,000 equipment in March, and we just kind of started rolling from there. So it hasn't been easy in any stretches. It's been very tough. I've had a lot of support from all the good guys we have, to my mom and dad and my fiance and everything. So it's been a heck of a ride, but I'm happy I am where I am.
Yeah, man. I'm your story is inspiring, and I think there's a lot of people who are in this mindset of, holy cow, I come out of this educational system and it's a big scary world out there. And certainly the service-based business world is something that's, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be in the service-based business. You need to have the commitment, the dedication. You have to be willing to work. You have to be willing to work hard. You have to be willing to go above and beyond on the jobs that you're doing as it relates to quality output and really maintain and manage your reputation. But man, I just think that I just think there's such an incredible opportunity for you to share your story with the younger generations, and I'm excited about that. I'm really, really excited about that.
And the story goes, as it goes a lot more in depth than that, but we could be here for 2 hours going through every little detail. So
we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, that could be its own call by itself.
Cool. Well, let's get Jake and Alex on with us here, because I want a freestyle jam, and let's get everybody on right now. Because thank you guys for patiently waiting in the back waiting rooms there as we made the intros. I know that it's a busy time for you guys. It's the beginning of April, season's like here, and I bet you guys. Well, Alex, you sent me a video the other day on WhatsApp of you in your office with the screens going and proposals getting drafted. And Jake, I'm assuming your proposals are flying right now. You've got more proposals going out than you had ever imagined. And Chris, same thing, right? And I think that's an important lesson for everybody watching here. Is that whether you're in business or you're considering getting into business, shit doesn't happen by magic. It just doesn't happen by magic. Proposals, if you think you're going to sit around waiting for phone calls that are just going to come in and they're going to be $10,000 jobs, Alex, why don't you tell a little bit about what it's like, man, to wake up and be in the shoes of handing out $10,000 proposals or writing them? Are you doing this on a piece of loose leaf paper with a ballpoint pen?
We used to do that, but no, of course not. We're using QuickBooks. We're using the proper systems, to make everything look professional, to make sure when the client's looking at it, they know that we're a proper company. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Are you generally, when you're writing your proposals and you're getting those proposals into the right hands, are you communicating with those people in person as you're delivering those proposals, or are they generally sent via email and then a follow-up?
It depends. If I'm meeting them for the first time, I want to make sure I meet them in person, so they kind of get a feeling for who I am. But, once you establish a relationship with them, then you're okay to, send emails and, give them the proposals that way. But for the first time meeting them, I'd like to meet them in person just so they can see who I am, what I'm about, and kind of all that stuff. So that's kind of the way I do it.
And your branding's on point. I mean, I know all of you guys, like, how important is branding to you, Jake, as it relates to your impression, your communication? How important is brand to you now?
I think it's really important. I mean, we didn't really have much branding until recently. And just like in the past couple of months, we've been putting out videos and our trucks got all wrapped and looking the same and everything like that. And the leads are following up, you know, like crazy with that. And I can attribute a lot of that to the branding that we're doing recently. So did
I'm sure Alex had some impact on the branding, right? Being able to actually see what he's been able to do, man.
Oh yeah, everybody wants to copy that black and yellow branding.
It's true. It's true. You know, I'm telling you, man, the branding, the power of branding is something so incredible. And it's like, I remember Alex, you said this, it's like once you have your power brand, it becomes like a language. It's something that you speak. It becomes ingrained in you. And that was something that left a mark with me for sure. With AK is like, we've got to step up our AK logo, put on the t-shirts properly, and, you know, really get things going and consistent too, you know? So that's been huge. Chris, what's going on? Surface Solution, tell us everything, man. What's going on about the branding over there?
Yes, we really just rebranded the company just 2 years ago when we went from Peninsula Sealcoating to Surface Solutions. So we started doing a little more with the branding in the local market and everything. And I'll tell you one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is, so I had a couple guys from the local TV station address me a couple years ago about doing TV commercials. And at the time, financially, it just didn't make sense. We were doing a lot of residential seal coating. When you looked at the cost per month, cost per lead, you couldn't justify it. And so a lot of people say, you know, TV's dead, this is dead, that's dead. And so last year we started advertising with the local TV station. And it's performed very well for us. But I'll tell you, the biggest thing is we get people all the time that you'll ask them, hey, if you don't mind me asking, where did you find us? Why did you call us? Well, you're on TV, you must be good. We get that all the time. You're on TV, you must be good. And it's just like, it's a level, it's a local TV station. It's nothing, but it's that level of credibility. It gives that people that, you know, level of confidence. And then we also get the, you know, because the branding is going around so much on the internet and on TV and everything, we get the, well, you know, we see you everywhere, so you guys must be the biggest company in town. That's not the case, but that's what is portrayed. So it's nowhere near perfected. It's nowhere near where I want it to be. Definitely nowhere near the level of, you know, Alex and Black and Yellow, but we're getting there. We're working there. It's a work in progress. Nothing happens overnight. Anybody that thinks stuff does happen overnight is crazy because it's just not realistic. But, you know, I think that's a misconception across everything. You know, I think people see stuff get from point A to point B like that, and then they think it happened overnight because they don't know the backside story to it. It's just like super successful people that never share all the bad stuff they have happen. So people think they have this picture perfect life that they're not living. They choose not to share the negativity, and they just keep grinding and keep digging. And so you never hear that side of the story.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, it's wild, you know, like there's some days where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And then there's 99 other days out of those 100 days where I'm like, I love what I fucking do. Like, I love what I do. I love being a business owner. I love going through the grind. I love drinking from a fire hose. I love being presented with the most adverse, most challenging shit ever. And I love being able to win with those challenges. Do you guys have
those days?
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a lot of those days where you're like, what am I doing? But then most of the days you're like, this is awesome, seeing this thing grow. But then, you know, it's like a roller coaster. Then there's days where you're like, what am I doing again? But there's more days up.
I've got a question that had come in here. It says, how do you find out who the property manager is for a large parking lot where all the businesses are renters? Is it taboo to contact the owner directly if their info is in the county property map? Does anybody have any experience in this area?
So I'm not sure as far as directing them with the info that's in the county property map, but I will tell you, if you're just looking for the property manager for a large parking lot that has all renters, you can just walk into one of the stores and ask the people in the store, hey, can I speak to the general manager? And when you speak to them, who do you rent from? Who's your contact property at the property management company? And get that answer pretty quick. Most of them will be more than happy to give it to you. Because at the end of the day, you're doing improvements to the site where their store is located. So they're 100% on board to help you.
Exactly. Okay, cool, guys. I want to jump into something here with some in-depth questions, because we call this the two comma club. When we build $1 million businesses, it's something, I say I say this often, I've got buddies that say, yeah, I've got a $5 million business. And I'm like, fantastic. And do you know what your bottom line is? Do you know the depths of the numbers in your business? And they're like, no, not really. I mean, I didn't walk away with a whole lot, but I've got a $5 million business. And it's like, I don't want this jam with you guys to be about $1 million businesses. I want it to be about really, what it is to build something successful, something that actually has people, employees, team members, culture, branding, being able to do jobs and really be proud of them after you're done, to go home knowing that you're building towards something greater. And so I have a few questions that I'd like to ask, and I'd like an answer from each one of you. We'll do kind of a clockwise on my screen. So we'll go Jake, Chris, and then Alex, if that's cool. So did it take more time or less time to get to your first $1 million in revenue than you were anticipating? More or less time to get to $1 million?
For me, it took way less time. Our first year, we knew that they were selling the building that we get our sealer from, and we had visions of like buying that someday and thinking, holy crap, that'd be so wild. There's no way we could ever do that. And then in 2.5 years, we bought it, and we did over $1 million in revenue that year, which was, I think, third year in, and it was just kind of surreal. So it definitely, for us, came way quicker than expected.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Chris?
So I think
more?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did it take more time or less time than you thought?
I'm going to say it took less time. I don't think I had expected it to happen that quick. I think it would have been a lot harder to do 100% in the seal coating space than it would be in the paving space. But I think going into that, also until 2 years ago when I went down and saw Kevin, I had like a 5-year outlook in my head of when I was going to get into paving. Like when I left in November, I thought, okay, I'm going to be paving in 5 years. I didn't think that in March that we would have a paver. Like that wasn't in my vision 100%. So I think we definitely got there a lot quicker. But at the same time, in order to scale the company to the point to where it can do $1 million in a year, you quickly find out that $1 million is not what $1 million sounds like. So you know what I mean? It's not. It's all relative based on where you are in your step in business. And what is 250,000 might be a lot to this company. $1 million might be a lot to this company. It really just depends where you are, in your journey. And I don't think a number really means. I think a lot of people get tied up in revenue numbers and not as much net profit. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing 20% on 2 million or 10% on 4 million, So I think people get tied up and run around telling people what they do in gross revenue instead of telling people what they're doing in net profit.
I could not agree more. And I think the direction of the question, I think, is, did you grow faster than you thought you were than you anticipated?
100%.
And yeah. Alex, can you fill us in on your experience, man, like from the time that you started?
It definitely took less time to get to $1 million than I thought it would, but once you get to $1 million, $2 million, it kind of gets I don't know if I want to say harder to grow, but
yeah,
I don't know. And then what Chris said there, I think I need to go see Kevin Gray down at ADC, because we definitely want to start paving, but I've been like pushing it off. I don't know.
Did you hear how it went down with Chris? Kevin basically kicked you in the butt, right? He basically said, "Man, yeah, okay, yeah."
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much like, we were going back to the airport, dropping me off the airport. I'm going home. Like, I got some good information for a couple of years. And he's like, so when are you going to get started? I'm like, in a couple of years. And you're like, well, it's not going to get any easier or any cheaper in a couple of years. It's probably going to get more expensive. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it kind of steamrolled from there. I'll be honest with you. I don't mind putting it out into the public because I think we're in a good situation now. As far as, how we do everything and our knowledge and everything. But when I came back, the first drive we actually paved to kind of get everybody together, because we had a brand new pavement crew. We had nobody that ever paved before, other than when I went down to Kevin's for a week. And so I came home with all that knowledge that I had gotten from Kevin's for the week. And then the first driveway we paved was my dad's driveway. And to tell you that I probably watched a week's worth of YouTube videos on paving is not, it's the honest truth. I really did. And I'll never forget the first driveway we paved. It was right over here on the other side of town. And first driveway we ever paved. Just stone driveway. We're just paving, it was like 20 by 80. Got all done. We loaded all the equipment up and went to go speak with the customer. And he said, man, I have to tell you something. I said, sure, what do you have to say? He said, man, you guys, I can tell you've been doing that for a while. You run it like a well-oiled machine. And it was the first driveway we had ever touched. I'll never forget it.
What was the, and Jake, I'll go back to you. What was the first asphalt service you added? And then what was the second?
Well, on top of driveway crack filling and seal coating, I'd say the first one after that would be infrared patching. And that brought a whole new, that was a huge jump for us in our area. The demand is crazy. So adding infrared was huge for us. The second would be, saw cut, remove and replace patching. So we do pretty large patches. That was the second. The next thing soon will be paving. So kind of doing everything.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, because I know a lot of people, when they start in the asphalt maintenance world, they'll start with, the seal coating and crack sealing, and they might start with just some pothole repair, but it definitely should not stop there if you're looking to become, a full pavement asphalt, pavement asset management and service provider, right?
Right.
Chris, why don't you tell us about, you started with buckets, buddy, like it's straight out, right?
Oh, no, we actually started with a tank.
You started with a tank. Got it.
Yeah, so when I started on my own, I had a tank and a rig.
And you were pumping it into buckets?
No. So when I started out, I actually had a rig this was before I even knew who you were. But no, actually, when I first started out, with a 325-gallon plastic skid unit from Asphalt Direct that I put on a little trailer.
That's wild. That's wild, man.
But see, so when we first started, though, we didn't have a hot crack fill machine. We did everything with cold pour. So hot crack filling was actually the first thing I got into. And then after that, I got into asphalt repair. Yeah. Now, if I could switch that back and do it over again, the first thing I would get into would be hot crack filling, because of the profit margins are just through the roof. And the number two would have not been asphalt repair, because of the labor and the price getting over to. I would have went straight into striping. That's another really good one. I don't think asphalt repair is something that you have to be able to do immediately. But if you're able to do the seal coating, the crack filling, and the line striping, then you can go into a commercial account and do everything in-house without subbing anything out.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, man, is about the subbing side of this. Like, a lot of people feel that they can't go and attempt to even, present value to a property owner or manager, because they might not have a hot box, a recycler, and, a roller. But build relationships. Relationships are so crucial. Like, have you guys ever subbed anybody in? Raise your hand if you have. Have you ever been subbed in? Right. And that's, so build relationships. I'm sure you guys have your networks of people that, your trusted partners that you work with, right? Or have worked with. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's such an important piece. And Alex, what service did you start providing right out of the gate? And then what was really the second jump for you?
So we started off just sealing driveways. And at one point, like all we were doing was sealing, and then we're doing some cold pour, crack filling and stuff, but that doesn't work very well. Then I think we bought a line painter. We did a little bit of lines, and then I remember we finally got our hot crack sealing equipment with a router and all that stuff. And I remember we were on a parking lot, and we had no idea what the hell we were doing. And I was just like, how the hell are we ever gonna make money doing this crack stuff? And but we kept at it, and now it's our most profitable part of our business. And then we added the infrared after that. And the more services that you add on, the busier you get and the more days that you can fill up. So one day you're doing crack sealing, another day you're doing the patching, another day you're doing the seal coating. So it's just kind of like a more complete business, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And when you bought that router, I remember because you were posting on Instagram, and I'm like, that's awesome, man. You go from cold crack sealing right into like routing and doing it, like the ultimate way, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you don't really do any crack repair unless you route, right? Like
when
you're doing
route, route and seal.
Yeah, and for viewers that don't know what routing is, can you just explain what routing is?
Routing is basically you have this machine with a carbide cutter, and you cut the crack out 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch, which creates a reservoir, so that you get more crack sealer in there. So when the pavement is expanding and contracting, the crack sealer doesn't just break right open; it has more of a give. So it lasts longer. We believe it does. Some people don't, but we do it.
The results are in the pudding right there. You've done it. You've done it, and in Canadian climates too. So yeah, man, that's awesome.
And then as far as subbing, you guys were talking about the subbing work. Like for me, it's really like building relationships within my region. I try to be. You're not gonna be able to be cool with everybody, but you try to be as best as you can with everybody and figure out who you can work with and who's going to give you the best job, the best price. And that way you can offer, like for example, for us, we sub out a ton of paving work, and it's worked out amazing for us. And it's amazing that, I can rely on 5 to 10 paving contractors, and I know which one's suitable for each job. Right. We're actually going to be doing a big job with the pavement group here in London soon. So
nice.
That's subbing out is definitely the way to go.
That's fantastic, man. Isn't that great? I mean, with social media and just the power of like what we have right here, it's you might as well build really great relationships. Why the hell wouldn't you? And if you have transparent conversations about pricing structures and all parties at the table are happy, and you're able to give a tremendous quality job that the property owner is paying for, why the heck wouldn't you build these relationships and get this done? So I love that. Through social media and kind of having the opportunity to build relationships through your fingertips are right here. It's great. Mr. Jake, what percentage of your business is referral based, and what percentage would you say is repeat? So referral based and then repeat.
I'd say repeat right now is about 25%. It was more than that when we were mostly residential, but now we don't do much of that anymore. So we're only, 3 years into mainly commercial. So that's starting to grow. I'd say about 25% right now. Referral, I would say, is another 10%. Most of our business comes from, we do a lot of cold calls and email marketing and stopping out to businesses and kind of outreach. So that's where we get that's how we've grown the most.
It's awesome, man. That's awesome. And Chris?
So I would say on the repeat business for us, honestly, right now, is probably 10% or less. And I say that because we got completely out of residential seal coating. We're doing commercial seal coating, but we've really raised our prices up. So the amount of work we've gotten in the short term has slowed down a little bit. But right now, I would say 70 to 85% of our business is residential and commercial paving. We've only been doing it for 3 years. We've only been doing it for 3 years. If I'm coming back to pave your driveway 3 years from now, that's probably not a good thing. So right now that number's pretty low. How we've had people that we did a job for that, hey, we have another job we want you to do now. Yeah, that does happen. But as far as repeat customer doing the exact same job, it's pretty low right now, but that's because of what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, quick shout out here to Alex Coring, Rod Hilton, everybody else that you're on here. Thank you for all the comments and support and paying this forward, sharing it out, man. It's awesome. Mr. Alex, what would you say?
I would say probably for us it's about 30% repeat because we've been around for, quite a bit longer. 30% referral and then 30% coming from like Google ads and reaching out to people and our marketing and stuff.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I think the cycle, the asphalt maintenance and the paving cycle is very, they're very different, right? Somebody who goes out and seal coats every 2 to 3 years is very different than, like you're saying, Chris, if you're paving a new driveway. So I understand, my man. I guess, are you guys seal coating any of the paving jobs that you're doing?
No, we stopped the residential seal.
All residential. Got it. What about?
I do have
commercial.
Go ahead, sorry.
Commercial.
Yes. Yep. And I do have a guy in the local market that's that we actually sub striping work to. If we can't get to it, he's very, very good at residential seal coating. I would put him right there with everything we've done every day of the week. And there's some things that I can personally say that he actually can probably do better. So we work hand in hand with him. Great guy, does great work. So we've been pleased to build that connection for sure.
Sweet. I've got a good question that's come in from Alex Coring from Sidewalk Safety. He's built a great brand, beautiful business in California. And he joins our AK roundtables on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Alex asks, at what point in the growth of your business did you decide that you needed a full-time sales rep? I don't know if all of you guys do or if you are that guy, but I'd love to hear. Jake, have you hired a salesperson on full-time?
Yeah, we have 2. And that we didn't, last year was when we started doing that, but we decided to bring one on when I was just too busy to do it all. Cause before that I was doing pretty much all the sales. So I would say just at that point when I got too busy, leads were getting out 3 weeks too late because I couldn't get to them all. I think that's when we decided to. I think a little bit earlier would have been the better play.
It's awesome, man. And was it a good decision for you?
Absolutely. Freed me up to do more of a higher level, business development type of thing. Just freed me up to do the more important stuff. Sales is, one of the most important parts of it, but not the most important, I would say.
How hard was it for you to make that decision to see that as an investment? Was it scary for you?
Yeah, I had to talk to Brian Hess. I had to get my head straight on that one. We just ran the numbers on, how much they might make and how much it might free me up to do other things. And once he cleared that up, it was, he made me think of it as more of an investment than a cost. So now I'm not scared of hiring them as we need them anymore.
It's awesome. And will you be hiring more salespeople?
We're looking for one more because we have the 2 locations. So we don't have any in Minnesota yet.
Got it. Awesome. Chris, do you have salespeople with your company or are you selling? I guess
me and my dad actually me and my dad handle all of it. So he does most of the residential and I put most of all the commercial stuff together. Got
it. And are you guys keeping it that way? Or is there any plans to hire on salespeople?
There is plans for sure. To be honest with you, the plan was this year, but if you want the honest truth, It's probably going to be a little bit much for, the two of us to probably handle it and everything. But my biggest thing behind it was just to kind of see what was going to happen over the next couple months in 2022.
Yeah.
Just try to feel some things out, figure out what direction we're going to be going in this year, and then kind of shoot down that hole.
Good for you. Alex?
So I decided to hire us. Actually, once we hit about $1 million in sales, I bought out another local company, and the owner of that company is my salesman. I still do majority of the big stuff, but anything I throw his way, I know he's going to close it. So that takes a lot of work out of my hands as well. And we definitely need more salespeople. 100%. It's something that we got to get going on here as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, when we're as business owners, we end up in that sales seat quite often, right? Without sales, the machine doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
However, being able to work on our business allows us to scale that machine. So working in our business and doing well with it and really getting it, getting it to do what it can do with us selling. It was one of the scariest things in our business was to bring on salespeople. Now we've got, a whole team of salespeople, but it's like making that decision that that person is going to speak the same language and present the same kind of value and really present my company in a way that I would present is scary.
It is.
And that would be that it is. And what I would say about that is you better get frickin' training and teaching this person and spending quality time with them and really investing the time that's needed in order for them to speak the language of what it is that you want for your business. And of course, when I say the language, of course, I'm not referring to English, French, or Spanish, but I'm about the actual way that they present value relating to your company. We speak about this on the roundtable a lot too. It's like, do athletic teams practice? Top performing, who is the basketball player that used to go and would spend the nights on the court just throwing the basket over and over? Was that Michael Jordan, Kobe? All the top guys. And so, as business owners, if we're not instilling that same kind of coaching and that time with our people, well, then we might have some expectations that might not result the way that we want them to result, right? So as you're hiring your sales, as you're taking that leap and you're investing into growing your sales operation so that you can work on the business, just make sure you spend that time that's needed. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one too because we get so busy in the business, I've got one more question, guys, and then I know that Chris, I know you have another engagement as well as we roll through 7 here. What do you guys see, Jake? What do you see kind of unfolding in 2022 that might have been different from previous years?
I guess just on like the projects we're seeing, a lot of guys are seeing a lot more asphalt maintenance requests with all the inflation and whatnot going on. But in our industry or in our service area, we're seeing a lot more demand for paving. So I don't know if that's the type of answer you're looking for. Or...
Yeah. Just what's COVID hit now. Of course, there's a lot going on in the raw material shortages area. There's, as it relates to coal tar for people that are spraying with coal tar.
Right.
There's component shortages. What are you seeing as I know Chris has spoken about this, about capital projects in the past and those, larger type things. So just kind of getting a pulse on if you're seeing the way that people are coming to you. Are they looking for more at the maintenance side? Are they looking more at the paving side or
Right. We're seeing a lot more people looking for the paving side, but also the maintenance side is up too. So I think COVID and everything that's gone on somehow has kind of been good for all of us in this industry. I don't know how that worked out, but we're seeing a lot of demand still. I'm not worried about it at all. So.
I mean, that's a very good point too. I mean, search intent is up. Sales are up. There's a lot of work that's coming in our industry. And I feel, honestly, I wake up and I feel so grateful for actually being a part of this industry, because it survived a pandemic. It actually thrived through a pandemic, and it thrived through a recession as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Chris, I'd love your input there, man, because I know you've spoken about large capital projects, especially during COVID. Remember during that period where people were kind of very hesitant to spend big dollars?
Yeah, for sure. I think that at least in our market last year during COVID, the seal coating market kind of seemed to die out. We seemed to do more paving work than we did seal coating work, and more residential paving work than we did seal coating work. And even going into this year, I think people are starting to call to get their residential driveways seal coated. And really the thing that we do is I don't really tell people anymore, hey, we're not doing residential seal coating. It's, hey, right now, based on our schedule, we're not able to take it anymore, but here's who you can call. Kind of leaving that door always open. Right? We didn't shut that door 100%. We're leaving that as a revolving door, so we have that opportunity if we choose to use it. But this year, I would say easily residential paving, commercial paving, leads coming in is probably 2 to 3 paving leads for every one seal coating lead, for sure. So it's definitely skewed way towards the paving side.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
Amazing.
Yeah, completely the opposite of what I expected. Just with the market, the way everything's going, the economy, the way people are thinking, the way people are acting, it's definitely not what I expected going into this year. We did some pre-planning coming out of last year, budget-wise, how we're going to spend money, being conservative, just being careful, because we didn't know what we were walking into. But starting out this year, definitely very mind-blown with the results that we're seeing so far with leads coming in, for sure.
Alex, what are you seeing? Are you seeing anything different so far this spring? The way that people are communicating, language, what's going on up in Canada? What's the pulse there?
Well, we had that hold up from all the COVID and all the people that held up on seal coating. Now that everything's opened up and everything's kind of getting back to normal, like those are all starting to flow in like crazy. So I think it's going to be a crazy year for seal coating, but as well with the whole coal tar situation, it's a tough spot to be in, right? And also noticing that a lot of car dealerships are looking to get their lots paved and seal coated because a lot of them have low inventory right now.
Yes.
So, if you're in the industry, that's something you definitely want to target right now.
That's such a huge golden nugget right there, for sure. Cars are sold out everywhere. Trucks especially.
Yeah.
It's wild, right?
Especially Toyota dealerships.
Good tip. Very good tip. I've got Matthew Stump who's asking, if he's planning on starting in the industry, would you still say, I know you guys started out with residential, would you still say that's the right spot to start to get your feet wet and then grow from there?
I would say for sure starting residential is the best way, because if you take on something too big that you can't handle, it might turn out to be pretty bad. And we built what we have on residential, and I think that's the way to do it.
I think he's 100.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was gonna say with Jake, I was like, man, there's this video of you in your office, dude, and you're speaking about how you're driving back with the new truck. That you just bought. Or maybe it wasn't a new truck; it was a used truck, right?
It was our new used truck, our first one. Yeah.
New used truck. Tell the story just as you're heading up north. You're heading back home.
So we had just bought that truck, our first truck, on like a couple credit cards. Couldn't afford it, and I was following my partner at the time, and I see him swerve a little bit, and like start fist pumping out the window, and he calls me, like, "What's going on, dude?" He's like, "We sold our first driveway." It was like a couple $100, and we were on our way back from buying our first truck, just like music turned up, partying. So good story. The first sale there.
Man, what a feeling. I remember the very first driveway I ever sold to, and it's like I just won the lottery. Like, I sold a driveway. Awesome. Sold a driveway. It's such a good feeling. and then you go and sell a $2,000 job and then a $20,000 job, and you're like,
yeah,
celebrating, but it just, you know, the feeling of excitement of owning your own business is something pretty darn freaking cool. We talk about it being hard, but man, those wins they're in the memory banks forever, right? You'll never forget that story will be shared with so many people. It just got shared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Chris, do you remember the very first job that you did?
Be honest with you, I don't remember what the very first one I sold was.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, you know, when I first started, I'll never forget it. When we first started selling driveways, I had little door hangers made. And this is no joke. I'll never forget. I used to always go to Nina Lane, right here in my hometown in Fruitland. And either on the weekends, at nights, or days that we got off school, because, you know, maybe we had a professional day or whatever it was, I would get my mom or dad just to drop me off at the front of the neighborhood. And I would just start walking door to door. And I don't even forget selling the job. The excitement I got when somebody would open the door, man, that was just great. Just to get somebody to answer the door, just not getting a dead. So yeah, I remember that.
Alex, do you remember that first job that you did, or that you sold?
I actually don't remember the first job we ever did. It's a long time ago. But I do remember when I first got my black and yellow truck. I remember the first phone call that I got while I was in the truck. Somebody behind me called me, and we ended up getting a huge driveway, and then we seal coated that guy's dealership as well. So I remember thinking when he called me, I was like, holy shit, this really works. Like, the truck's, you know, it's standing out. This guy's behind me. He's freaking calling me. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, for anybody that wants to, if you have not seen the video interview that I did with Alex of branding, where he speaks about branding and all the different points, it's a very powerful video. It's on our YouTube channel. My team will also throw it into the comments here, but that video right there has so much power around branding and the importance of it. Sorry, Chris, were you saying something?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in there back to what you were talking about with Jake real quick, when you guys were talking about starting in residential versus starting commercial and all that stuff. I 100% agree with what Jake said. One thing I would like to add to that is I definitely agree with him 100% start residential. And I say that from a cash flow perspective. You know, seeing residential driveways at the beginning, you're not going to have cash flow. Money's probably going to be pretty tight in most scenarios. So doing those jobs where you're getting a check the minute you finish versus maybe waiting 15, 35, or 45 days is going to be a huge difference in the beginning. Your company's not going to have the credit to probably get credit accounts with, you know, sealer manufacturers and stuff like that. So you're going to need that money every single day in order to keep operating. And I think there's larger companies out there. I know we still do this. I think Kevin at ADC still does it, that try and at least, you know, we're probably doing more than him, but try to at least pave driveways at least 2 or 3 days a week, because it gives you the instant cash flow to keep the company running, and then do the bigger jobs 2 or 3 days a week that you're going to wait 45 days to get paid on.
Yeah, that's such a good point, man. I've got a lot of questions in the comments. We're not going to have the time to go through them all here right now, guys. But this for me is a magical thing to be here with you guys. And the reason why is we're able to share. And like this, for me, that's the most important thing. It's why I do what I do every Wednesday. And I love being able to share, and these experiences and things that we're able to share right now help to move the industry in a direction that's of progress, not just, you know, people doing what they think will work, but instead hopefully taking some of this valuable advice and reaching out to, you know, if you have a question. The only silly question, again, is the one unasked, you know, and rather than going out and screwing up a commercial job and doing all of that, maybe what the advice would be, hey, start on a family member or a friend's driveway and really give that a solid go. You know, if you have questions about dilution on your sealer and those kind of things, ask the question. Don't just cut it 60%, you know? Chris, what were you going to say?
You talk about things you remember. I can tell you what I do remember. The first garage door that we got sealed on. I remember that.
Yeah. I remember spraying sealer all over a bridge, like it was a private hotel, going over a bridge. and the hose blew off the back of the spray system, and it pissed probably, I don't know, 50 gallons of sealer all over the grass and all over the white paint along the bridge. And you know what? You kind of just stand there and you look at it and you say, you know what? Time heals so much, but man, it would be a perfect time to piss rain. But man, you know, yes, it is what it is, right? Like, I mean, you know, lawyers have bad days. People who deliver food have bad days. Teachers have bad days, man.
Unfortunately.
But it's, yeah. But you know, we get to learn from the mistakes, and hopefully we can limit the number of mistakes right out of the gate by connecting and surrounding yourself by all the right people. Guys, I'm so grateful for our relationships. I know I have relationships with each one of you independently and together here, and this kind of brotherhood is a pretty cool thing to be able to have. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us and to share.
Thanks, Chad. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jed.
Always a pleasure.
Nice seeing you guys.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great night, everybody. And if you have any questions, post your questions in the comments, and definitely follow Black and Yellow, Surface Solutions, Chris Filippelli, Doctor Asphalt, Jake Abernathy. They're all on Instagram, I believe on Facebook. You guys on TikTok now too?
Started.
TikTok, yeah, I just started on TikTok too. Okay, cool. All right, guys, listen, crush 2022 season. I know you guys are already going to be busier than ever, and look forward to catching up. I believe with you guys.
All right.